News Central now this hour begins with Aviation Matters. The Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, NAMA, has suspended its earlier announced 800% increase in navigational charges in response to the directive from the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development. Now, this decision was made to address the current economic challenges faced by Nigerians and prioritize further consultation and sensitivity to their needs. The government's commitment to the concerns of Nigerian citizens and stakeholders in the aviation sector is evident through this decision. Now to petroleum sector, President Bola Tinubu has instructed the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to sell crude oil to Dangote Refinery and other refineries in Naira. Now, this directive, announced on Monday by Presidential Advisor Bayo Ononuga, aims to stabilize fuel pump prices and the dollar-naira exchange rate. The Federal Executive Council has approved this move, with the NNPCI committing to supply 4 out of the 15 crude cargoes required by Dangote Refinery annually. The 450,000 barrels designated for domestic use will be sold in Naira, starting with Dangote. Afrexim Bank and other banks will facilitate these transactions, eliminating the need for international letters of credit and saving the country from dollar payment. Earlier on, Temitope Kolade, the Senior Manager and Lead ESG and Climate Change Services at Anderson, spoke on this development.
When we look at the short-term impact, what it would mean is that the sort of foreign exchange that would have been expected from the portion that would be given to Dangote now, if it were sold to the export markets, would have given us some foreign exchange earnings, and so it would appear that that will now be taken in Naira. So there is going to be a bit of mismatch as to how much you're really receiving in terms of foreign exchange earnings, and that could impact on the rates if that's to support the sort of foreign exchange that is available for supply in the local market. But on the other side, we also need to look at the medium term, in which we'll begin to slow down on the imports on the petroleum products in Nigeria, and so we do not exactly need to get the exchange rates, the foreign exchange to procure those items from outside Nigeria. I think, again, the good side that people may not already see, even in the short term, is that currently, if Dangote were to purchase those items, were to import crude, it would require USD and foreign exchange, foreign currencies to do that. And so it wouldn't need that anymore. So again, even in the short term, we expect that there would be a bit of management of the sort of foreign exchange rates that we have.
Now, a group of northern youths, the Arewa Youth Assembly, has called on the chairman and chief executive officer of the Dangote Group to adhere to the regulations of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and other energy regulatory bodies in the country. The group made this known during a press conference in the nation's capital, Abuja, where they faulted the allegations of substandard fuel importations made by the Dangote Group, saying it is an attempt by the government, or group rather, to divert the attention of Nigerians from the real issues on ground.
There is a rule and regulation. This oil and gas industry in Nigeria is a regulatory body, regulatory agencies of the NNPC, upstream, downstream. They are regulatory bodies of oil and gas industry in Nigeria. Dangote, you came into the industry from our own findings. You came into the industry and you want to dictate on what is happening. That means you don't have value for the regulatory bodies. You know, if you look at Dangote well, Dangote has never, all his business, always have issues with when it comes into any business. You know the outburst between him and Yabelo last year at Obajana. Even last year, you know, and his own brother from Kano, Bua. So from all, then you know how he came into media busting about NNPC refusing to sell him crude. So you came into this. NNPC told you this is how this is how we do our business. You said no. NNPC should not do it like this. They should do it the way that suits you. Why would we pity Dangote? What has Dangote? How has he been beneficiary to us? When Lafarge, cement was only with Lafarge, when he said, according to him, when he came, now can we buy cement? We cannot even build houses again. The cement is almost 10,000 naira. Same anywhere Dangote enter, he wants to make sure he dictates what is happening in the place. Do you know when Boa reduced cement here? Hope you heard that you will come down. Why they were fighting. Okay, Boa reduced it. Dangote as a patriotic Nigeria who wants sympathy from Nigeria would have reduced it on too. No. He didn't even make a statement. That was not concerned. Let the ordinary man go and so forth.
Now let's bring you more updates on the planned nationwide protest. Nigeria's federal government has once again appealed to citizens to shelve the proposed nationwide hunger protest, which is billed to commence on August the 1st. Nigeria's Minister of Information and National Orientation made this known after the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja, saying that President Bola Tinubu has already commenced implementation of demands being made by the protesters.
This is a listening government. The president has listened to the voices of all those who are planning this protest. And the message is that there is no need for it. Indeed, the president is already protesting on their behalf by doing those things that they want a government to do.
Being able to bring to fore. And if there is one decision or one thing this administration has done is to cure Nigeria of long-term problems. It's not just today. The issue of fuel subsidy that the administration removed has been a lingering crisis. And today, with the decision of the Federal Executive Council of today, by promoting local trade of crude oil and refined petroleum products in Naira, then finally, I think the biggest elephant inhibiting or negating against the development of the energy sector has just been removed.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still live with us on News Central now. Now to more stories. Recall that we did mention that the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, NAMA, has announced that they're suspending the earlier announced 800% increase in navigation charges in response to the directive that was given by the Minister of Aviation and, of course, Aerospace Development. Olumide Owayo, the General Secretary, Aviation Safety Roundtable, is joining me now on News Central to discuss this development. Thank you so much, Olumide, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
My pleasure. Good afternoon to you too. Now, Olumide, I would like to know, do you think that this suspension of the fee increase would affect Nigerian consumers as much?
Well, if that had been implemented, definitely it would affect the fare price, the ticket fare, and once that fare goes up, then you would expect a drop in passengers. And that will not be only the consumers, the airlines and all the agencies would also have to go through the rigors of losing revenue. Then the entire value chain, those who have shops within the airports, those who provide the taxis, travel agents, all will be affected by that astronomical increase in fare, because 800% is so high. Again, I would not be in the group to clap for the minister, because presently each of the agencies under their act are supposed to have a board. In the absence of a board, the honorable minister, the permanent secretary, and the CEO of that organization becomes the board. And to take a decision concerning 800 to increase charges to about 800% must have had the approval of the board. So what was the board looking at when they went ahead to make that hike without engaging stakeholders, which is what is obtainable, which is what is the norm and accepted by ICAO and all other relevant international aviation organizations, which states that you must engage all other stakeholders to come to an agreement, and after coming to an agreement, then the regulator will not come in and to mediate and see that both parts have agreed to the hike. But unfortunately, the management of Denmark went ahead without liaising with their customers, without discussing with those who they provide services to, and wanted to just dump it on the country at the time when the country is under this stress. I'm sure maybe the protest was part of the reason why they quickly had to withdraw that decision. I think it wasn't fair, and the hike was so extreme.
Now, Olumide, you would agree with me that we cannot overemphasize the economic pressures that is faced by the aviation industry, exacerbated by global economic volatility, fuel price hikes, and of course, currency instability. How are players navigating this challenging time?
Well, we are forced to deal with it. You know, we're just having this hike in interest rate from the banks. And as I was talking to some of the journalists this morning, I said, don't look at the aviation industry alone. When banks hike their interest rate, it affects all sectors of the economy. And once the economy is stunted, aviation is also stunted. Because it's the economy that stimulates aviation. When the economy is good, passengers have disposable income. Passengers will fly. Corporate air travel will increase. They will send their staff to meetings, to attend conferences. But once the economy is stunted, things are not moving well, the interest rate is high, they cannot invest, then it affects aviation. Again, on the aviation part, with high interest rates, you can hardly go for new investments. You can hardly send your personnel for quality training outside the country or even within. You can also not invest in or update your equipment and other materials you have based on funding. And funding is critical to companies and every like what happened every other sector. So also it's an aviation. Now when you create this rate and you kill the small scale enterprises, then you are gradually grinding the economy to a halt. Today, you heard the minister of the MD fund, though there's no news to most industry players, that only out of the 21 airports, only 3 out of those airports are viable. 22 airports, sorry. And if the 3 are viable out of 22, then the one is dealing with about 18 viable airports under our belt. And we just can't continue with this high interest rate forex and expect the economy to grow. We need to work out some things that will make the aviation industry grow. We also need to work out ways to ensure that those airports stand on viable, can become operational, then before we start talking about viability.
Also, looking generally at Nigeria's aviation sector, what would you say are the overarching challenges, especially for the airline operators themselves?
Basically, at the moment, what the airlines are having is the issue of forex. They have the issue of infrastructure, inadequate infrastructure. Then you have the issue of the aviation fuel itself, which is a major cost component, and the continuous big battle between the government and Dangote refiners, which was supposed to be the sucker, but Dangote was the first organization to offer them below 1,000 naira per liter, and now with the no supply of crude, that has made that a bit difficult. So if we can handle the infrastructure, if I handle the interest rates and also the aviation fuel, I think you will have been able to solve about 50 or 60% of the problem of the airlines and even the aviation industry in general.
All right, Olumide Onwayo, General Secretary, Aviation Safety Roundtable, thank you so much for joining us to discuss the aviation sector. And of course, we're looking forward to seeing how this development plays out. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And now to Education Matters. President Bola Tinubu has directed the Tertiary Education Trust Fund to increase the number of modern hostels in tertiary institutions from 36 to 72 by the year 2025. Now, the Executive Secretary, TED Fund, Sonny Echono, disclosed this during a meeting with the leadership of the National Association of Nigerian Students. According to a statement released by the fund on Tuesday, the president's directive to the fund followed his plans to ensure industrial harmony in tertiary institutions. The statement, which was signed by the Director, Public Affairs of TED Fund, Abdulmumin Oniyangi, noted that Echono also asked students to ensure that public properties on campuses are not destroyed during the planned nationwide protests. To more stories, the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has promised the completion of the 29-kilometer Pycon Quarry Road project in the Gwagwalada Area Council of Abuja. The minister, while conducting an inspection of the ongoing road construction works, says that the project will be completed at its scheduled time.
By December, they were completed and handed over. It's a 9-kilometer road. It's interesting because one of the roads that the President directed in the satellite town that must be completed. I thank God, and I believe in the contractor's record that they will live up to the expectation. I thank the area council chairman of Gwagwalada for the support is given to the contractor.
Several MTN Nigeria subscribers have taken to the MTN offices across Lagos State to decry the telecom's decision to bar their telephone lines without warning over the NIN SIM linkage directive. Our reporter Igbalani Omoniyi visited MTN's Ogba branch location to gather more information on this issue and filed the following account.
On Sunday, many MTN service provider customers woke up to the reality that they were unable to make or receive phone calls or access the internet. MTN, the largest mobile network in Nigeria with millions of subscribers, barred the phone lines of several users on Sunday, allegedly for failing to link their national identification numbers NIN with their mobile phone numbers. At the Ogba branch, like other locations across the state and country, angry customers flocked the office early Monday morning.
I have the app on my phone. I'm verified. The NIN is there on the app, MTN app on my phone. What could be the problem? So I tried to stroll around because I live very close by. I saw that they opened yesterday, but I was denied access because it was around 5 o'clock. So I came early this morning around 6:30. I was surprised I was number 207 on the list. And right now, it's almost 10 o'clock. They are still on number 25.
I don't know where to start. And moreover, I'm going to work also. So I don't know what to do. And this is the only line that I have, both my business, contacts, all. There is nothing I can do for now.
Àwọn ọmọ mi tán fún mi lóúnjẹ, wọn jẹ́ kí n bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀. Àwọn tó sẹ́ndì owó sí mi ní ìsinmi mọ̀ báyọ̀ owó yẹn ti wọlé báyà kó wọlé, èmi ò mọ̀. Ó ní mo ṣe wá láàárọ̀ yìí láti wá confirm. Adẹ̀wà bèrò rẹpẹtẹ báyà mọ̀ bí a ṣe fẹ́ ṣe.
They are just inconvenient people. Now, I didn't go to work because of their what is it called? Is it registering? I don't even know of the NIN. They should please and find something about it. They should just find something about it. If they cannot come, they should give us link to be doing it on our phone ourselves.
Some of those affected allege that the company took this action as part of efforts to frustrate a planned nationwide anti-government protest scheduled for Thursday.
This Nigeria, we don't even know what is even happening. Bank is there, network is there, fuel scarcity is there, hotel is also coming. What is really going on in this country, we don't know.
At the time this report was filed, the Nigerian communications company had ordered operators to unbar lines that were blocked over the weekend and provided clear guidelines to help subscribers unblock their SIM cards. Meanwhile, some MTN subscribers received messages that the issues would be rectified within 24 hours. In Lagos, for News Central, Igbalani Omoni.
Let's now head to North Central Nigeria, where motorists in Jos, the capital city of Plateau State, have called on the government of the day to implement measures that will ensure the availability of premium motor spirit in the country. The call was necessitated by the scarcity of petrol in many parts of the country, with Plateau State not being an exception. News Central's Chizoba Anyowe monitored the scarcity of the commodity in Jos and sent in this report.
Past 4 weeks, many petrol stations had been out of stock. The few stations that have the commodity sell at exorbitant prices, ranging from 817 naira per litre to 850 naira per litre. This has been a source of worry for many as they wonder what the regulatory agencies are doing to bring the sorry situation to an end. More incredible is that no one seems to know what the exact cause of the scarcity is. Monitoring the city center for an update of this situation, News Central discovered that many oil marketers in Jos are out of stock, and motorists are not comfortable with this.
Nigeria is an oil-producing nation, so I'm yet to understand this kind of happenings.
Since yesterday, since last week, some people have been here. This morning, my own car slept. Since on a Saturday, we are here again. Right now, we are still waiting. They have not started selling the product.
Yesterday, I had a program in the evening, and after the program, I left one of my sons here. So I came back around 10 in the night, so I slept here.
We slept here until this time, but this very station has been doing well for the past days.
For them, the high cost of living, suffering of the masses, and unavailability of this commodity is beginning to affect every facet of life.
The government should double up and see what they can do to see that this fuel is supplied regularly and is sold to people at a price that is affordable.
How do you explain to the world a country that is producing oil and you find queue in that country? What is happening? I don't know why.
People are not even talking of the money aspect, now the monetary aspect. They are talking of the availability of the product. You can see suffering. Women suffering, children, suffering. Some people come around to get the fuel. There is no way, no means of getting it. People are suffering.
It is actually drizzling at this time, and with the cold, it is 17 degrees centigrade on the plateau, and these motorists have been here. Many of them actually slept here to ensure that they get this commodity. Unfortunately, they have been here for days and they have still not gotten it. Sadly too, they are not even sure of getting this commodity today. They are calling on government to ensure that everything possible is done to make this commodity, the PMS, available for them. In Jos, the Plateau State capital, Chizoba Anyonwe reporting for News Central.
Our correspondent Chizoba Anyonwe reporting from Jos regarding the fuel scarcity situation. But from Plateau State now, let's go to Lagos, where News Central's correspondent Bernard Akede is out and about monitoring the fuel scarcity situation in the metropolis. Hello, Bernard. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Blessings. I got your name correctly today.
Yes, hallelujah. Okay, Bernard, if you can hear me, I would like for you to let us know where exactly in Lagos you are currently and what the fuel scarcity situation is like.
All right, yesterday, Nii was on the mainland, scouting fuel stations around the mainland, around Ogba area and Ikeja. I'm back on the island as I was yesterday. I was here yesterday. This is Ikoyi, Alfred Rewani Road, I believe. And that's the NNPC fuel station right there. If for those who didn't watch the news yesterday, it will be difficult to believe that the situation is better, and that's because of the long queues. The queues is still as far as the eye can see, but it is better than what we had yesterday in terms of the chaos that was here. The fights, the crowds gathering. It's looking like and the traffic, as a matter of fact, but it's looking like the officials have been able to contain all of that. However, what they cannot contain is still the queues that are as long as the eyes can see. Coincidentally, just to my left here before coming live, there were a group of people who were selling black markets just directly opposite the fuel station. I think the management of the fuel station had to come and send them all away. But that's what you get almost everywhere across the state. Just directly opposite or around the vicinity of the fuel stations, you have people selling black market prices. For the NNPC here, their price is about 586, which is the cheapest around, and that's why you have this queue longer than other fuel stations. But then, just directly opposite, you have people selling as high as 1,000 naira per litre, some 1,500 naira per litre, selling to people who are not patient enough to wait on these queues. But then you can understand why people would not have the chance to stay on queues for hours on ending.
All right, Bernard, we also understand that there is a hitch in the discharge operations at the various fuel depots. And the last we heard was that they're working with these agencies to resolve the issue. How much longer do you think that we should expect this long queues and exorbitant prices for the PMS?
Well, Blessings, I think that's the million-dollar question. We have been told what the issue is, but there was no follow-up as to when the issue will be resolved. The last we heard was that it's been worked upon. Being worked upon, this could take a day, it could take a week, it could take a month. You know, we don't know how long it's going to take. Experts are not saying anything, the marketers are not saying anything, and there has been no, defined date or time period as to when the so-called hitch that was witnessed in the depots will eventually be resolved. So customers, Nigerians generally, are at the mercy of whenever this particular hitch will be sorted. But between then and now, and whenever it will be sorted eventually, what you're seeing behind me is most likely what you'll continue to see until all this is resolved. Now, the hope for most Nigerians is that if eventually this proposed protest is going to hold, that this will be resolved quickly before then, so this doesn't add more to the plight of the masses within that period and possibly after.
All right, thank you so much, Bernard. And we really hope that the queues and the prices subside in no time and that the discharge issue is resolved. Thank you so much for giving us the update. All right, now the international police organization Interpol has revealed that hundreds of thousands of dollars are laundered out of Nigeria every hour. Interpol Vice President for Africa, Garba Umar, disclosed this in Abuja during a 4-day training workshop for Nigerian law enforcement agencies at the EFCC Academy. Now, Umar noted that money laundering has become a significant issue worldwide, with Interpol's Silver Notizen designed to combat it. Now, he stressed that money laundering increases crime and damages financial institutions. The workshop, themed Strengthening Capacity and Coordination Against Financial Crimes, aims to enhance law enforcement's ability to combat financial crimes. Umar urged participants to discuss transnational crimes, review policing capabilities, and strengthen law enforcement networks to improve security. Coming up on the news, Morocco grants amnesty to 3 journalists held for 4 years. We'll bring you details after the break. You're still live with us on News Central now. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, in East Africa, where Ugandan authorities have charged 36 members of Forum of 4 Democratic Change Party with terrorism after they were deported from neighboring Kenya. The group, which includes 3 women, denied the charges. Lawyer Erias Lukwago said members of the opposition party were arrested in Kenya and charged with what he called an absurd abuse of legal procedure and witch hunt by the Ugandan authorities. The Ugandan police had announced their arrests in a press release, saying they were engaged in covert activities suspected to be subversive, drawing the attention of Kenyan security forces. The next hearing for all 36 who face life imprisonment is scheduled for August 13th. Now, up north, Morocco's King Mohammed has pardoned 3 journalists detained for years as hundreds of prisoners saw their sentences commuted to mark the monarch's 25th anniversary on the throne. Umar Radi, Suleiman Rassouni, and Taufik Boatrin, as well as historian and rights advocate Marty Manjib, were among the 2,476 people pardoned. Rights groups, including Reporters Without Borders, had denounced the jailings of Radi and Rassouni, detained since 2020 on charges of sexual assault that they denied. Now, Human Rights Watch has accused Morocco of using criminal trials, especially for alleged sexual offenses, as techniques of repression to silence journalists and government critics. Morocco ranked 129th out of 180 countries on the RSF's 2024 World Press Freedom Index. Now we head over to Southern Africa, where Mozambique has won a fraud case involving $2 billion bond scandal with Credit Suisse, causing a financial crisis in the country. Now, after a 3-month trial, a London judge ruled that Mozambique was defrauded in a maritime project intended to finance new coastal patrols and a tuna fishing fleet. The government-backed project was riddled with corruption, leading to hundreds of millions of dollars being looted, with much of the debt hidden from bondholders. The case, dating back to 2013, involved claims that Mozambique was the victim of a conspiracy by Abu Dhabi shipbuilder Previntrust and others, who allegedly bribed officials and Credit Suisse employees. Now, Previnvest has denied the allegations and the plans to appeal. And now to discuss this, we're joined by Eduardo Sango, the Executive Director, CTA. He joins us from Maputo in Mozambique. Eduardo, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Hello, thank you so much for inviting me to this
My pleasure.
conversation.
Now, Eduardo, I'm curious to know what advantages does all of this give to Mozambique by winning the fraud suit, especially when it comes to accountability and, of course, the importance of transparency and fairness in financial transactions?
Well, this is a huge movement and progress for transparency and advantage to all. For Mozambique means a lot. First, this is a message for the government ruling the country, the current government, even the next government, that there is a rule, there is a law in this country, and the compliance of this law is important. But also is a message for international market that it's important to be informed about national law in order to comply with every steps and every requirements that can, that is required when someone wants to engage in terms of business, in terms of loans with Mozambique. So combining those two sides means that the advantage for the future is that the compliance will improve a lot within the country when it comes to bringing new loans for Mozambique.
Right. Now, while the ruling was a positive step for Mozambique, the initial fallout from the tuna bond scandal had already created this negative perception of the country among foreign investors. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think that their image can be redeemed?
You know, the negative perception were there, it was a hard moment for Mozambique at that moment, but this judgment, this result from the court in London will change this perception because in the beginning, what people were understanding is that the government of Mozambique, the state of Mozambique, didn't perform the role when it comes to hire new loans for Mozambique. So the negative perception will start to decrease because the investors will see Mozambique as a country that there are institutions that perform their roles. So in this case, the Minister of Finance and also the public ministry, they performed their role. They taking this case to the court while other procession was ongoing. So this message for me is that for international market will understand that Mozambique has institutions that can perform their role. So when the institution perform their own roles, means that the country perception in terms of what is the confidence will improve.
Executive Director, CTA, Eduardo Sango, thank you so much for joining us to discuss this. Now to World Wrap. An attacker with a knife killed 2 children and wounded 11 other people, including 6 youths in critical condition at a dance class in northern England on Monday. A 17-year-old male has been arrested on suspicion of murder and attempted murder in Southport, near Liverpool in northwest England, in an attack that also left 2 adults with critical injuries. Police Chief Serena Kennedy said that the attack was not being treated as terror-related and that the attacker's motivation was unclear. Now, joining us for more on this is our international correspondent, Afua Hagan. Thank you so much, Afua, for joining us. All right, Afua, if you can hear me, what update do you have for us on the Southport attack?
Well, we've just had the latest news, the distressing news in the past few minutes, actually, that 1 more child has died in this attack. They died in the early hours of this morning, a 9-year-old girl. And we also have had the details that the other 2 children who died were also girls, and they were aged 6 and 7. Now, 5 of those children still remain in a critical condition in hospital. So the attacker, who is described as wearing a face mask, arrived on Hart Street. That's a quiet residential street in Southport. He arrived by taxi. Apparently, he refused to pay the fare. This is according to an eyewitness. And then multiple people reported seeing young children bleeding in the road after being stabbed. There was a woman running down the road screaming, "My daughter's been stabbed." Around 10 girls were taken to safety in a nearby house. A local nurse who arrived on the scene said that her daughter reported hearing a sinister scream just before the attack. Local people on the grounds completely in shock and stunned at this, saying that they've never seen anything like it and that these are the most horrific scenes that they have encountered in their life. Now, Prime Minister Keir Starmer talked about the attack, where he said the events of today were truly awful, and saying the whole country is deeply saddened.
All right, Afia, what exactly has been the reaction to this awful incident by the government and by the people in general?
Well, people in the community, like I said, completely shocked and saddened that this would happen in a small community. This is a community by the seaside, lots of mums, children, families, and lots of older people, because it's quite a quiet seaside town. Now, Taylor Swift has released a tribute to the victims because the young girls were attending a Taylor Swift themed dance and yoga class. So she released a statement on the Instagram where she said, "The horror of yesterday's attack in Southport is washing over me continuously, and I'm just completely in shock. The loss of life and innocence and the horrendous trauma inflicted on everyone who was there, the families and first responders." She went on to say, "These were just little kids at a dance class. I'm at a complete loss for how to ever convey my sympathies to these families." A group of Taylor Swift fans have actually raised £28,000 for the victims. They set up a group on social media and have raised that money for them. We've had the King and Queen of England here. They have said that they're profoundly shocked to hear of the utter horrific incident. The Prince and Princess of Wales also have given their condolences and saying, "As parents, we cannot begin to imagine what the families, friends and loved ones of those killed in Southport today are going through." Now, the Home Secretary, Vic Cooper, was on the scene this morning. She was talking to first responders and also laying flowers at the scene there, and also talking about knife crime and what a problem that is in the United Kingdom, but saying the focus today should be on the victims and their families.
All right, News Central international correspondent Afia Hagan, thank you so much for joining us and giving us that update. All right, now to more stories. Landslides in southern India have killed at least 36 people on Tuesday, with the army announcing that hundreds more were believed trapped under mud and debris. The landslides in India have been triggered by pounding monsoon rains. The southern coastal state of Kerala has been battered by torrential downpours, and the collapse of a key bridge at the disaster site in Wayanad district has hampered rescue efforts. India's army said it had deployed more than 200 soldiers to the area to assist state security forces and fire crews in search and rescue efforts. And now to some sports updates. Egypt's volleyball team faces second loss in the Paris 2024 Olympics preliminary round following 3-0 to Italy in Group B. Italy, the reigning world champions, dominated from the start with a 25-15 win in the first set, showcasing their top contender status. Despite Egypt's efforts, Italy's strong coordination and powerful spikes led them to a 25-18 victory in the second set. The third set saw Italy maintain their intensity, winning 25-17 to complete the sweep. This defeat leaves Egypt in a top spot as they prepare to face Brazil in a must-win match on Friday. Still in sports, France's meteorological service issued a major storm alert for Paris and its surrounding suburbs as the city hosts the Olympic Games. Intense precipitation of 20 to 40 millimeters in less than an hour may occur, with localized impacts lasting until around midnight. This storm alert comes as Paris experiences scorching heat, forecasted to reach 35 degrees Celsius on the fourth day of the Games. Olympians participating in outdoor events like beach volleyball at the Eiffel Tower and women's rugby semi-finals at the Stade de France will feel the intense temperatures. Other French cities hosting Olympics are also battling a severe heat wave, with some areas reaching 40 degrees Celsius recently. And that's all on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our major stories. We told you the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency bows to pressure, suspends its 800% hike in navigational charges. We also mentioned that Interpol says hundreds of thousands of dollars are moved out of Nigeria through money laundering every hour. A major crackdown against dissent, Ugandan authorities charged 36 opposition party members with terrorism. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Also, do also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, StarTimes channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Mosugu.